It's only fitting that in 2023, we get so many variations of Batman. That's right, if you're a follower of the channel or you know DC Comics, you know that they have done tons of different iterations of Batman. Whether that's Batman and the Flash merged together, Batman and Joker merged together, Batman and Green Lantern merged together, all part of this Dark Knight meta line. But like I said, in 2023, why not make Batman a woman? The DC Comics complied. They said, you know what? Batman woke up, decided he was a woman, identified, and boom, look what we got. Hey, my name is Mr. X. Welcome to the Extreme Channel. We are giving away $1,000 statues to you guys. If you want to know how to win one, stay tuned for later in the video. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. My intro was a little bit off base, but not really. So this is the Drown from DC Comics. It's from the Dark Knight Metal comic book line, and it is made by Prime 1 Studio. This is a 1/3 scale statue, and you saw a few of the other statues in the intro of this entire line. So this is a multiverse where there's different variations of Batman. This one actually, I think it's Earth 11. And in this universe, everybody is gender reversed. So Bruce Wayne is not Bruce Wayne, it's actually Bryce Wayne. It's a female. And she's not dating Selina Kyle, she's dating Sebastian Kyle. And they don't have an Aquaman, they have an Aquawoman. Well, anyway, in this universe, metas actually kill her love, Bryce's love. So she's Batman in this universe, and they kill Sebastian Kyle. So she goes out and tries to kill all the metas in revenge. Now with that, eventually she comes against the Atlanteans, the Mer people, the Aqua women and men. And with that, she gets in an epic battle with Aquaman, actually kills her with her own trident. And then she feels like, you know what, I've avenged all the metas, I'm good to go. But the Atlanteans didn't see it that way. In revenge for their queen, they actually drowned Gotham. And then Bryce Wayne right here decided, you know what, I have to figure out a way to beat the Atlanteans. So given enough time, prep time, Batman can beat anybody. That's exactly what, I guess she would be Batman. Batwoman can beat anybody. That's exactly what she did. She had surgery to augment her body to give her Atlantean-like power, so like a meta power. So she could breathe underwater, control water, superhuman strength, and then she went and killed all the Atlanteans. Now, this is when the Dark Knight metal line is introduced. This is when Batman Who Laughs gets a hold of her and says, hey, I'd like you to join my team of other evil Batmans. We're taking over the world. P.S. We're really trying to get this god, and I'm just using you because I know you're really scorned with life. But he didn't say that. He manipulated her a little bit more. And that one actually is also Bruce Wayne as well. It wasn't really merged with Joker. He just had a toxin poison that made him look like and feel like and act like Joker. So this is the last in that line of everything that's been released. I hadn't planned on getting this statue, but Prime 1 Studio was running a sale, and I had a bunch of points that now expire, so I thought, you know what? Grab her. Not in that way, because that's inappropriate. So I decided to pick her up. She's here. You know, initially when I got her in, and I've seen her in person before. I actually saw her at this tour of Jen Mint's house about a year ago now. Actually, no. I'm sorry. That was like 5 months ago. Time flies. And I didn't want to get her because I wasn't such a big fan of the character, despite I think it's one of the better backstories in the Dark Knight Metal storyline. And even when I unboxed her, I wasn't feeling it as much. And I don't mean that in a sexual, you know, perverted way. But the more I got into it, the more I actually liked her. You can actually see this variant cover that they kind of based it off. They've done that with all the pieces. So today we're going to do a review that's enough backstory about the statue and the character. And I'm going to show you what is really surprising on this statue and I like a lot. So first thing we want to look at with this statue is the concept. On the base, they did a few different things here. Number one, it almost looks like it's Atlantean or underneath the sea, a monument that she's standing on. There's some symbols. I believe those are to Barbados, the god that all the 7 evil Batman versions were trying to rise. And then like most Batman statues, there's some gargoyles, almost like perch on top of a building. But these are really evil, and again, I think these tie back to Barbados. Pretty freaking cool. And when I say Barbados, it's with a T, not a D. Just kind of a heads up on that. That's the god they were all trying to, this whole collaboration. They were trying to beat the Justice League on our Earth, the regular Earth. But to add some flair to that, on the top they have water, because this is technically the merged version of Aquaman or Aquawoman. And you see it splashing around, which I think is pretty cool. It gives that illusion. She's actually standing on a box. I'm not sure of the significance of that. They could have just made her standing in the water. And then you see one of the creatures of the sea, which I believe she has control over those as well, just to add a little flair to it. It's an octopus, the tentacles coming everywhere. And she's in kind of a fluid, dynamic pose, which typically most of these are like museum style, where they're posing for a picture. But standing on one foot, and again, this is matching the cover, the alternate cover. They've done that with all of them. And I have their matching slabs next to each one. And in very Pirates of the Caribbean type getup. So very Pirates of the Caribbean it looks like. And I like that a lot because it almost insinuates, she's a pirate or she's underwater, she lives on the sea. So I think that's a really good tie back. Now granted, they copied the cover, so it's not their original concept. And that fluidity moves up. You see her skirt and her coat and her hair kind of flowing, insinuating the water and the movement in the statue. I like that a lot. She's very serious, and they really went all pirate on her. So she even has an eye patch and a do-rag, but you see the Batman. You still see the cowl with the ears on the side. This one is not as clear as the other ones that this is actually Batman, where the other ones you could be like, yeah, that's a version of Batman. This one, really the only ties is there's a symbol on her chest, a small symbol. It's a variation of the Batman symbol. And then, of course, the cowl part on top. But I like it a lot. It matches the cover. They pulled it off. I think from certain angles it looks perfect. So I think it's a 4 out of 5. The reason it's not a 5 out of 5, I don't think it's that original. They just took the cover and replicated it. But it's always nice to have one that matches the cover. So with that, let's look at the design of the piece. This one was much different. Before we get into like the switch outs and stuff, I'm going to let you know there's 2 versions of this. I got the deluxe version with the extra stuff. But here is the unboxing and assembly of this version. One large box, which was nice. I didn't take any pictures of the art box. Go look at Gem Mint's review, but it was the classic foam with 2 layers. Pretty easy, right? Dimensions. For exact dimensions, you can check out Prime One Studios' website, but the base is only 12 inches deep and then 12 inches wide. The tentacles probably give you an extra inch or so. And then the tallest part is actually her hand. She's quite tall. She's right at about 35 inches. So that's really nice. It's a 1/3 scale statue, meaning 3 times smaller than a real-life version. It doesn't take up a lot of space. Further, if you're staggering statues on different levels behind each other, because this one is raised so much, this helps. So it'll be interesting to see what she looks like with the rest of the knights. If you want to see what that looks like, check out the Extreme Channel social media, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. The link for those is in the description below. The only one I don't have is Devastator, which I have on order, but then I'll have the entire line complete, and I'm not looking to sell these anytime soon. I think these are going to be in my collection for a very, very long time. Assembly was good with 2 exceptions. The right arm here, and this is on no matter which switch out you use, doesn't sit flush. I think there's something wrong with my magnets. I don't know if it's a mass-produced problem, but both ones don't sit flush. Pretty big gap. And then the seam line for the portrait sucks, in my opinion. Not very good right here. I think they could have made that much better. But really, that's it for issues with assembly. There are some switch out options, namely the right arm and the portrait. All the versions come with this right here, what you see. So on the portrait, you see the do-rag over the entire top of her head. But you can, with the deluxe version, get this alternate portrait. I wish they would have changed the expression. All they did, that I can tell, is change the top where it's just a cowl that doesn't go over her hair and cover up her hair on the top. 2 different tridents. The one that all of them come with matches the cover, kind of a pointy trident, and it's pointed down. Or you can have one where she's lifting it in the air, and it's a different trident as you see. Now, unfortunately, I'm not a huge Aquaman guy in the comics, so I don't know if one of them was Mara's trident, or AQUAWOMAN, or AQUAMAN, because she eventually did kill Aquaman, I believe. Could be wrong on that. So I think those are some cool display options. I put the other ones back in the box. I want it to match the cover, and I rarely switch out different display options. Last thing I'll say about design, if you notice during assembly, when inserting her, because she's standing on one foot, that peg was really long. Hopefully it doesn't lean over time. Who knows? I'm not going to grade it like it will, because we really don't know. So overall, design's okay. I think there could have been some better options. I think it's a 3 out of 5 overall with design. The thing I like the best is the space saver aspect of it. So again, this really isn't blowing up my skirt. It's blowing up her skirt. But with that being said, what really got me is when I filmed the paint and sculpt, which you're about to see right now. It's really good. Check it out. Undoubtedly, from a conceptual standpoint, one of the hardest things to do is how do you paint an outfit that is under the water most of the time? I don't know. So we'll come back to that, but let's start with the base. Now, it's not your typical Batman base. Typically, the buildings are a little bit shinier, but I almost like the age they gave in the paint and the sculpt of the rock. It looks like it's been underwater. I think that's pretty cool. Now, the ghouls on the side do not. They're your typical, gargoyles you would see on a building, and I think they look good. They also dulled down the bronze a little bit, again, to kind of give you, hey, this is an underwater monument effect, although it's a conceptual base like we talked about. So I think that is pretty neat. I think they did good with the water. I would have liked to see more of a blue hint in the semi-translucent resin than so much green, although one could argue the ocean is just as green as it is blue, but I think it doesn't mix up enough from the greens we see in our outfit that we're going to look at. But the white caps look good. The motion around it is fine. The box could use some more texture, which really blows me away because Primal Studios is really good at wood, whether it's bark on a tree or a box, and it seems like that was a little bit of a miss on this. The tentacles are awesome. From the suction cups on the bottom to the glistening moist effect they added, really make it seem like alive and moving, and especially just the movement and the directions they chose like we talked about. Now what's great about her outfit, what they did do to kind of show that wear and tear of the ocean, is there's a lot of gashes or just deteriorating of the clothes, and they did that with both physical holes in the sculpt and then really just exemplifying it by adding some like dull paint around those. I can only imagine that the workers in the factory, okay, we have to add a little bit of paint here, a little bit of paint here, a little bit of paint here, but it's very strategic where they added it. And even the print on this, I think is pretty cool. That weathered look is just phenomenal. The rest of it, so these don't look like real leather boots, although I assume, at one point they were, but that's probably because of the wear, and they give it a lot more dull. I was going to say a dull shine, but that's kind of an oxymoron. And you'll see that dullness throughout the entire statue. It does mix up, the green pants she has on are a different color green than her dress, which is a little bit different color green than her hair, and then her jacket is a darker green. And they really bunched it up, not only from the wear and tear we're talking about, but also just a lot of folds in the costume itself. And again, it has that same movement that is sculpted in, we talked about. So I like that it flows really well conceptually, but the sculpt was very strategic on how that was done. So I think that's neat. Then you can see where her jacket is roped up here. Tiny little ropes around the rings. I'm really appreciating this more and more, just looking at this amazing paint and sculpt on it. It was more, I think, the choice of colors. The bright orange in the middle, yet it still has kind of this faded orange, but they added almost a shine to it. Looks like it was under the sea. And then her, forgive me, corset or whatever that is, just gives the statue color, and it almost ties back into the bottom. I am not a fan of her skin, not only on her chest there, which actually looks like a different color than her face, which I think is a big miss, but I wish there was some more depth or texture to her face. I just don't like that. They did do a nice job on her hair. It is very bunched together, but you see these bunches of strands kind of going everywhere, again, insinuating the flow, so I think that's neat. A lot of the same comments about the trident. You know, it's not shiny, but it looks like it's been underwater for a very long time. And I think all this faded dirtiness really adds to the evil aspect of the statue. Tiny little bat symbol we missed up there. Molded bat symbol. And then just tons of little details. I think that's a watch that you have on there. Again, a lot of the wear, both sculpted and painted in. Some buttons. Really cool. This one takes a while to find some of the really good stuff, but there's a lot of it hidden in this paint and sculpt. So despite my issues with some of the colors just being so dark, I think they did a great job. I think the paint is a 5 out of 5 on this. Really impressive. I almost knocked it down to a 4 out of 5 due to the portrait and the skin, but that's such a little part of the statue. Sculpt, same exact thing, although I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. That portrait and the lack of texture really bothers me, even though I know that's what technically this character was. And then I think there was a little bit of other opportunity going on, but still really, really good and above average. Is this statue worth it? Now, one thing we've been seeing is this Dark Knight metal line. A few of the pieces are really popular, and some they can't sell for retail. Well, retail was $1,100 on this, plus shipping, and 2 different versions. This version with the deluxe was $1,100, and they made 400 of these, or for $50 cheaper, you wouldn't have those alternate switch outs, and they made 100 of those. So total edition size of 500, retailed for $1,100, which is really cheap for a 1/3 scale statue. However, this is probably the least popular character in the line, and some of the really cool ones, they can't even get rid of at retail. So unfortunately, I think the value is a 2 out of 5. If I ever sell her, I will be lucky, I think, to get 80% of my money back. Does she have the X factor? You know, she's not my favorite, because to me, Batman is a man. I believe that there are 2 different genders, and just that's who the character is. Just like I think Wonder Woman should be a woman and played by a woman. But with that being said, I still think it's a cool character. I think it's a cool statue. The paint and sculpt are next level. While it's not 5 out of 5 for me overall, it is a 4 out of 5. So very impressive still. And again, not something I would probably buy as a standalone. And I think that's where their sales suffer, because some people do the entire line like me. But I think some people just pick the coolest ones, like the Batman vs. Joker Dragon or Batman Who Laughs. What do you think? Where would you rank her in all the different pieces? So we got Grim Knight, Batman Who Laughs, Red Death, Dawnbringer, Joker Dragon, the Superman, Dark Knight Metal, and her. Where would you put her in the rank of things? Throw that down in the comments below, because we have a new giveaway coming. As we try to grow this channel, we like to reward you guys for watching and subscribing. So because of that, every 5,000 milestone when it comes to subscribers, we give away a couple $1,000s worth of statues. We've actually given away over 20 statues. To win one was easy. First, you gotta be subscribed to the channel. You'll get bell notifications when videos drop. Each video that drops, you wanna make a comment on those videos. We pick a random video, we give away statues based on a comment. You can say whatever you want. The more videos you comment on, the higher your chances are to win. That was a weird intro, extra. I'm gonna fix that. Hey, thank you so much for tuning in. Do me a favor, drop that like. It's right there, it's easy to hit, and it really helps the channel. I'll talk to you guys soon. Appreciate you watching. Take care.